and building. And as we get started, I want to make an announcement first. This is going to be on channel 590. It's going to be available likely beginning on Monday, but don't hold us to that. But hopefully Monday or Tuesday. So again, channel 590, this presentation will be made available. And I have the honor and privilege of introducing our speakers today from Palm Beach County Building, Planning, Zoning, and Building. And we're going to hear from Doug Wise, not Weiss, Wise, meaning he's, wise like smart. And he's our building official and very knowledgeable. And then Rick Torrance, he's our Director of Contractor Regulations. He'll be speaking to you about those concerns. And then Michelle Pagan, who is our Code Compliance Director, and she'll be talking to you about code issues and that sort of thing. And this is the second year now that we have done this presentation. I understand it's been refreshed and there's some new things to cover. And glad you're here. But again, for those that are not able to be here, you can let them know they'll be able to watch it on channel 590. So with that, we're going to get the program started. I want to thank you for being here. And again, have a great day, and I will see you soon.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming out today. It's always good to see you all. Good turnout. Your development is very important to us. We like to come out and have a presence here all the time. We work with a lot of you probably know John Gennady, who's up here in the front row. Really great guy. He ought to have an office in here because he's in here all the time trying to help out the residents. So my name is, and thank you, Commissioner Weiss. My name is Rick Torrance. I'm currently the Director of Contractor Regulations. What we do is we oversee the licensing process of contractors to make sure they're qualified in their trades and that they're a safe person to be inside your house. I'm going to go through a little bit of the things that we do to verify that and the importance of hiring a licensed contractor here in Century Village. Some of the sheets I placed up on the table were titled Condominiums, Building and Contracting. That's going to give you a lot of useful information to take with you. If you need any more copies of that, get with Don Foster. He has my contact details, and I can email that information to you. But we'll go ahead and get started. What we do, we regulate local contractors through a certification program countywide, including most municipalities. What's unique about our division is we're one of the few divisions in Palm Beach County that actually can go into the municipalities to do enforcement. It's called an interlocal agreement. We go into the cities like Delray, Jupiter, some of the cities along the coastlines, Pahokee, Belglade, and it's basically, we call it the interlocal agreement. We get with the government officials in those cities and we initiate enforcement in those cities. It's helpful because they don't have usually the manpower to do that type of thing. So basically anywhere in Palm Beach County, unlicensed contractors are safe from being dealt with. We ensure our certification process. Contractors have the technical skills and business stability to perform the work that they serve. They're required to go through training, their mentorship, work under licensed contractors for a certain amount of years to obtain the skills necessary to do their scope of work. We monitor, investigate, and prosecute. We currently have probably 1,000 active cases that we are investigating dealing with unlicensed contractors. And I can tell you it's rampant here in Century Village. You go into your bulletin boards, and they put ads up on there that most of those are unlicensed contractors. Towards the end of this presentation, we'll show you a slide of how easy it is for you to search their names, their company names, to see if they're licensed or not. And you can always call our main number. We have excellent staff, always willing to help you. We partner with city, state law enforcement officials. Once a month, we attend what's called the Economic Crimes Conference. It's Florida Department of Law Enforcement, Sheriff's Office, state police departments, and local municipality police departments. There we network and talk about cases that we're dealing with involving economic crimes. Some of these unlicensed contractors, I've only been doing this a short time, but some of these unlicensed contractors, you know, I've seen them contract for as much as $100,000 working at a place like Century Village, doing repairs on things that require permits and that require licensing. So, you know, they're ripping you off is what they're doing because they don't have the liability insurance, they don't have the workers' comp insurance. If they were to get injured on your property here as an HOA or individually in one of your units, you're ultimately going to be responsible for the damages they do or the injuries they receive. The requirements for contracting. What's required to be a county contractor? Background investigation. This is an important one. We check their backgrounds. We don't want any felons in your house. If they're violent, you know, people that have a felony record or they've been convicted of a felony economic crime, it's not going to be in the best interest for you to let them in your house. So that's an important thing we do. We make sure they provide the proper insurance to include liability and workers' compensation. We either need an exemption of their workers' compensation or we need their workers' compensation if they have multiple employees that work for them. We work with the state. Occasionally we'll do stings. We'll go out to construction sites and the state people will check for their workers' compensation insurance. They can be cited. They can be prosecuted if they're repeat offenders. One of the things I like to say is if they don't have liability insurance and they're working in your house and they get electrocuted, they get hurt, you better set a place at your table because you're probably going to be feeding them for a while because they're going to sue your homeowner's insurance. They have no way to protect themselves. If you invite them in your place and they get hurt or they damage your property, there's no recourse for you. You're going to be liable for it. Competency, business and trade tests. They have testing through companies we call GITS and PROV. And what they do, you know, if they want to be a fence contractor, they want to be a general contractor, masonry, whatever they're contracting for, there are specific tests for the individual trades that they have to pass. So that's how we know that they get qualified because all the results have to be forwarded to us before we will approve their license. And it's designed to keep you safe. Okay. Potential risks of hiring an unlicensed contractor. Paying for work twice. You want your kitchen remodeled. You know, you go on Facebook or you look at one of your bulletin boards and you find a name up there with a phone number. That's, you know, we do kitchen and bathroom remodels. You call him up, you call a few people, and he gives you the best price. He gives you the best price because he's going to cut corners. He doesn't have any overhead. He doesn't have to pay for any licenses. He doesn't have to pay for any insurance. He hasn't been through our process. He could be a felon. He's not qualified typically to do the work. And when you're paying for the work twice, it's because once someone finds out that this work has been done without a permit, the county's going to come out there, require you to get a permit, and you're going to have to hire a licensed person. And a licensed person has to go in and clean up the mess, which is what they don't like doing that. So you're ultimately going to end up paying for the work twice. So always verify that your contractor's licensed. Delays in selling the property, what that could look like is most buyers today, I recently bought a house a few years ago, and I hired a home inspector. You know, and I hired the home inspector to protect me as a potential buyer. That home inspector will go look at your residence if you're trying to sell it, and he's going to point out to the potential home buyer of any unpermitted work that he sees that could be an issue. Most of these guys are experienced in building construction and code, and if there's issues in your apartment that you may think are fine, they're going to point out to the potential buyer that it's going to create you an issue in the future. So it could keep you from selling your place. It could make the price of your place go down drastically because the new homeowner knows he's going to have to go in there and fix all these issues inside your unit. Unsafe or poor workmanship, that's common, and I'll go over a couple of slides here in a few minutes, but they're fly-by-night. They don't know the trade. They haven't worked in the trade. They go out, they buy a hammer, a saw, get a truck and start posting their ads up everywhere, and they're out there, and they're not there for your best interests. And a lot of times it results in code compliance actions. And what I mean by that, if you say you have a second floor unit, you want to do a shower to tub conversion. You hire a licensed person that doesn't know plumbing, and it creates a leak. You might not know about the leak because the leak is under the tub, but your neighbor below you knows about the leak, and they're going to knock on your door wanting to know what was all that noise in your unit, and now they got water dripping from the ceiling. That's going to trigger them to call code compliance, and when code compliance comes out there, they're going to verify the leak, and they're going to address it with you, about what you did in your unit to cause this problem. Homeowner liability, I go back to what I stated before. You're ultimately reliable for any damage you cause in your building. One of the flyers I handed out earlier was talking about contracting and building law in condominiums. It differs from a single-family home, as in it's a mutual type of living facility. What you do in your unit will affect other unit owners, so you need to keep that in mind. So every year we try to assist our residents in preventing thousands in would-be losses. Red flags a person is unlicensed. I can tell you we have a good presence in here. This Century Village is kind of, I don't want to say been under scrutiny lately, but we've been getting a lot of complaints in here about all the unlicensed contractors. We try to meet with UCO. I personally believe UCO needs to come up with a system to control their gates better. They just pretty much let anybody in here without, verifying whether they're licensed or not. And what my suggestion would be is, put something out to them, giving them a process to go somewhere, verify their license, maybe get a sticker for their vehicle or some kind of ID that has to be renewed yearly. And then they can come in and out, fast without being scrutinized, but at least you have safe contractors here in your development. I think that's a very important, and you as resident owners, you have some bearing on what some of the decisions are made in here. And we'd always be willing to help out with that process if that's something you want to implement. They prefer to work on nights and weekends because they know typically our investigators are, 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. If we do know of something going on, we can pre-plan it after hours or weekend inspection, but typically they know we're not working. So they like to work at nights and weekends. And a lot of them are moonlighters, for another company, and that's what they do. But typically, if they want to work nights or weekends, that should be a red flag to you. Requests for a large down payment before work begins. Typically, what I recommend on that is once you verify their license, verify their license first before you go into any contracting with them. Our last slide is an easy way for you to check whether they're licensed or not. Basically, you just can put in their name or their company name, and it's going to pop up whether they're licensed or not. If they're not licensed, I would tell you to run for the hills. But typically, most contracting, you sign a contract, they're going to tell you, they need money for materials, things like that. But I would suggest you do it in thirds, like maybe 1/3 upon signing the contract, 1/3 about maybe halfway to the completion of the work, and then never give them final payment until you have a building permit in your hand that's been signed off and finalized by the building official. Because what they'll typically try to do, even the licensed ones are bad about this, they'll come in there, get paid, do the work, leave you with an open permit, and go on to the next job. When you go to sell your unit, the title company is going to say, you have an open permit for a kitchen renovation that you did 2 years ago. You need to go get this closed out before you can sell your house. And good luck finding that contractor who's already got your money and he's been down the road 2 years. That's a problem that's going to fall to you to correct. So before you make that final payment, always ensure that you get your completed building permit. It's called a certificate of completion. Often you'll see vehicles with advertisements. There are some exceptions for state licensed contractors, but typically small scope contractors, your fencing guys, your masonry guys, your guys like that, any advertisement they put up on the bulletin board, they put up on Facebook, they put up signs on their vehicles, it should have their contractor's license. Now those contractor's licenses vary, but it always starts with a numerical prefix and it's followed by some digits, some license numbers. Always verify that they're licensed. Or if someone other than the contractor pulls the permit, we call that pimping out your license. So you might get a general contractor that forms what's basically a pyramid. You all probably remember their pyramid schemes, but you got a contractor at the top. Other people are using their credentials to pull the permits and do the work. But that contractor, he needs to oversee that job site. If he's not showing up, you never see him, you never hear from him. You just see a name that you don't recognize. It doesn't match the person that's doing the work in your unit. That's something you need to question. And of course, statements, it will be cheaper if you get your own permit. Well, I need to tell you, as condo owners, you don't qualify for owner-builder permits. You all cannot pull permits for work being done in your units. You have to hire a licensed contractor. So if they tell you that, it's going to be impossible for you to get a permit. So this was an unfortunate story. This was a condo unit. Can you all see the pictures up here now of the construction work? This was an unfortunate story, but I'll tell you about it because it shows basically the lack of caring in the HOA. And this was a condo unit in Hutchinson. Was it? No, it was, what's the one just north of Boca? Starts with an H. Highland Beach, thank you. The picture to your right was the condo president's unit. He hired an unlicensed contractor to go in there and renovate his bathroom. This is how he left the job. He wasn't licensed. He got paid probably most of the money and kind of took off. So the condo president calls this unlicensed contractor and he says, I really want to help you out, but I'm out of money. If you could maybe give me some more work in your building, I'll have the money to finish your project. So this president of the condo association went around to his friends, board members, solicited business for this unlicensed contractor, and the subsequent photos were different units that he did the same thing to. He was gone after that. He took off. A lot of these cases we get involved in on the early onset, and we work with PBSO and felony crimes units because some of these guys are felons. If they reach a certain threshold of ripping people off, law enforcement will get involved and go after them criminally. So that was one of the things that happened in this case. So beware of false advertisement. I spoke to you a little bit about that before. You see the paver man one here. It looks to me like he's got his license down there in the very bottom. You see the re-roofing guy. He's got his license there, CC something. I can't really make it out, but that's what you're looking for. Any advertisement you see, you want to try to find a license number. The bottom one for the popcorn ceiling, water damage repair, painting, that sort of thing, he doesn't have his license in this ad, so that should be a red flag. These are some of the things we look for to start cases. We're proactive in the communities. We look for these things. We'll take pictures of them. We'll meet with the people that are the operators, and we'll issue citations for these types of things. Okay, so this next page is our portal. Any of you can go online and you don't need a website address, just Google Palm Beach County contractor regulations, and you'll see look up a license. And this is what the page looks like. You can simply put their contractor name in there if you have a business card, company name. Typically, the contractor name is what you typically search for, and it's going to open up the screen. It's going to show you whether they're active or not. It'll tell you whether their workers' comp is up to date. It'll tell you whether their liability insurance is up to date. Very simple, takes less than 5 minutes. If you're getting estimates for something, look them up. Make sure they're licensed. A lot of the handouts we gave out today should have this information on it. And again, my name is Rick Torrance. I'm the Contractor Certification Director. This is our main number, the 233-5525. We have very good staff. We don't have an answering service. If you call us, I guarantee you will answer the phone. And if you don't get an answer from someone, you can contact me directly, and I'll make sure that someone follows up with you. And I just wanted to tell you before the next presenter comes up, we're going to be here to answer questions after this. So any questions that you may have, please hold back, and we'll sit up here as a panel and go over all your questions for you. So thank you all.
It's 11:40. So my name is Michelle Pagan. I appreciate very much that you stayed after the earlier meetings to listen to us. I believe in this. And again, I appreciate you hanging out, so I will try to make this as painless as possible. And if you hear my stomach grumbling, that's because it's my lunchtime. So again, I'm Michelle Pagan. I'm the Code Compliance Division Director for PZB. And I want to first and foremost introduce your area code compliance officer. Some of you may know him. His name is John Gennady. He comes with a wealth of experience, and he's a senior. And you may please stand up, John Gennady. He's taken some time out of this morning and some of his site inspections so he could be here. And like Rick Torrance said, after our presentation, we'll have some question and answer time. And also, if you want to speak with John Gennady directly, you may do so. So can everybody hear me? And I hope you don't mind that I'm not standing up there. This is our mission. Mission statement. We recently redid our mission statement. And I'm going to read this to you because we changed it because we recognized that our goal and our mission, our statement, our message that we were sending out to the public just needed to be tweaked a little bit. And this, I believe, really sums everything up in exactly what we do. What is our mission? We're here to safeguard the health, safety, and welfare of Palm Beach County residents, period. I would put a big exclamation period right after that. Exclamation mark, sorry. We promote compliance through the local ordinances and codes and enforcing property and contractor regulations. We are dedicated to preserving property values, enhancing the quality of life in our communities through effective enforcement, education, and cooperation. Professionalism, integrity, transparency, and collaboration. That is our mission statement. We live this every single day. All of our code compliance officers believe in it. We follow these rules and regulations, and this is how we treat everyone. And that's, I think, is the most important thing. The key word there is safety. There is no compromising your safety, period. Exclamation point. That is why we're here today. There is no compromising your safety, that of your neighbors. I'm trying. I think it died. Battery. So, one thing I could do is keep talking. When I said no compromising your safety, you're going to hear from the building division shortly after this. But prior, you heard about illegal renovations, unpermitted renovations, unlicensed contractors working on the property. Okay? Safety is paramount. And how do we combat this? How do we address it, right? We need your help. Thank you. We need your help. And this is what we do. We investigate and enforce civil violations in unincorporated Palm Beach County. Very quickly, we do the unlawful land use, fire prevention, housing and property maintenance, code ordinances, and building codes. We do all of unincorporated Palm Beach County. We are the largest county southeast of the Mississippi. It is a large county, and that's why we have 35 code officers just for unincorporated alone, and I need more. I believe pictures speak 1,000 words, right? Common violations, and these are pictures from condominiums, similar to some were here in Century Village, some were in other locations. This right here is a shower violation. This is just simple property maintenance. There was mold, there was interior disrepair, and it was just never addressed, and it just continued and continued to get worse. This right here is a combination of responsibility from the homeowner and also from the property maintenance. Property maintenance people knew that they had to come in here. They had an issue with the hot water heater, but also the resident refused entry into the unit. We have to work together. So putting this all together, as you can see, the issues that were happening from this water heater was affecting the shower in one unit and also the ceiling in another area. So it all comes together. That's why we have to work together. Another common violation, some of you may recognize this, some of you may not know, the number one type of vehicle in Palm Beach County is what? A white van. Number one vehicle in Palm Beach County is a white van. The reason why I'm showing you this van is because if you notice on it, there's no license plate on it. Vehicles need to be registered. Okay? The picture on the right-hand side, I'm showing this to you because this is someone, obviously, moved out. The furniture was put to the side, okay? We received a complaint on this. Should we have been the first point of contact on a complaint such as this? No. Allow your property maintenance personnel to do their job. Report this to the appropriate people first, then to us. If it's not resolved by your property management teams, that's when it escalates to code compliance. Unpermitted renovations. Pictures speak 1,000 words, right? I say this all the time. This is a photo, and this is a lot of work, very different from the one Rick Torrance showed you, because here it is saying, wow, things are getting, I see progress, things are happening, right? None of it was permitted. None of it. Here's another one, unpermitted. Everybody wants a new bathroom. If you look at the tile to your right, I had that in my parents' house in New York, in the Bronx. And I know that they put that tile down in 1960-something when they bought the house. Some of you recognize that tile, right? We didn't have Home Depot back then, right? There was very limited places, very limited resources, so we know how old that tile is. Purchase a unit. Of course, who doesn't want something to be freshened up or renovated? But we need to do it properly, and we need to do what? Safely. Safety cannot be compromised. And how do we do that? Through the permitting. Permits vet the safety process, right? And through inspections, what? We ensure that it was done correctly. Here's another picture. That's you. I just heard someone, that's us, right? Well, here it is. I hope it's not your unit, but we get this often, and not just in Century Village, but everywhere in Palm Beach County. How would you like to be the person who lives on the second floor? Everyone wants to freshen up their unit. Why not? Maybe you want to change, and that's okay. And you can do it, that's great, but we need to do it safely. Here's a bathroom renovation, the same thing. And what's misleading is that you look at this and you go, wow, you know what you're doing. But sometimes they don't, okay? Sometimes they know how to make it aesthetically look as it's correct, but it's not. These are the exteriors in disrepair. These are very common ones. We get this a lot. And in Palm Beach County, we have older buildings. It is what it is. We have older buildings. And some of them were not maintained. That's a fact. If you live in one, I'm sorry. But that's why we're here, to address these. Here's one in the exterior, another one. These are common violations that we see every day, and we do address them. And I'm happy to say some of them get resolved quicker, sooner than others. Some are very challenging. This is a life safety that we came across. This is not in Century Village, this was down south. But the reason why I wanted to show you this is because this actually was the responsibility of the property management team. They hired someone to redo all of the balconies, all the screened enclosures. This person came home after a day out shopping to no balcony protections. This is what so the picture on the right-hand side, when she opened up her slider, this is what she saw. This is a life safety issue. This is something that you would escalate to us immediately. You alert your property management team, whoever hired them, and then you also let us know. And they did. Compliance is the goal. That is what we do. We are here to work with you. Compliance is our goal. We don't stop at enforcement. We continue through compliance. I believe that education is the key, the most important key component. We empower you. We give you the resources, the tools, and the education so you know how to address these issues on your own. We work with you. Communicate. Contact us. If you receive an email, if you receive a business card, if you receive a door hanger, if you receive anything, a business card, call the number on the business card, call the number in the email, call the number on the door hanger. There's a reason why we're communicating with you. If you don't understand the message that we left, that's why we need to speak with you. Once we establish that contact, we can create a compliance plan. Every case is different. We understand that. Paint is different. An exterior paint job is different than somebody who's taken out your bathroom. Your bathroom and all those permits are going to take time. We know that. Moving or registering your car is something that can be done, what? Within minutes, right? Visit our website. These are the different ways to file a complaint, but also they're the ways you can communicate with us if you have questions. You can visit our website, pbc.gov/pzb/code compliance, and you can complete an online complaint form if you want to file one. Or you can send it regular mail. You can walk in, you can call us, but be mindful, we do not accept anonymous complaints unless they are a life safety issue, impacting the safety and wellness of the public. Okay, we do require your name, we do require your address. We require your email or phone number simply so we can verify what you're complaining. Sometimes we can only see the issue from your apartment. If you don't give us your phone number and you're not communicating with us, how are we going to get in your apartment? If we can only see it from your balcony, if we can only see it from your bedroom window and we need access, that's why we ask for your phone number to verify it and to coordinate. Our phone number is right there, 561-233-5500, and in person is 2300 North Jog, right down the street. We're open, and like Rick Torrance said, we do not have an answering machine. You don't go into the eternal HE double hockey sticks of an electronic voicemail system that you go around and around and around and you never speak to a human being. We answer our phone. If we cannot answer the question, we will take your name, phone number, and we will find out as best as we can. We will provide you the resources and the contact people for the questions. Not everything is a code compliance matter. Sometimes it's a permit issue. Sometimes it's contractor's issue. Sometimes it's something else. We won't just say it's not our job. We don't know what. We will try to help you. Okay? And here's our contact information. We're on Instagram. For all you tech people, you can scan our QR code. You go right ahead. Look at all the phones go up. Wow. Let me step out of the way. And now I'm going to introduce Doug Weiss, the building official for Palm Beach County. There you go.
Well, good morning. My name's Doug Wise, as Michelle said. I'm the director of the building division. I'm also the county building official. My role is a little bit different than the previous speakers because my primary responsibility is enforcement of state law in the county. Sort of the same way every contracting company has to have a license. And I want to back up a little bit. What Rick was talking about was county contractors. He also regulates state contractors. So that's an important thing to remember. They have a little bit different regulations, and I'm going to point out, if you're interested, you got a state contractor, 489.126 governs specifically monies received by contractors. You got to go look at that. And that will help you if somebody takes your money. It says there you can't take more than 10%. Wouldn't apply to a county licensed contractor, but it does apply to a state licensed contractor. All right, what do we do? Well, the state law is intended to ensure life and property safety. That's what it's for. We permit, plan review, and we do inspections on every regulated construction project. And we'll go a little bit through that, what's regulated, what's not. There are exemptions to permitting, although there are less exemptions in a condominium environment. We try to make sure everything meets the code, and I would tell you, if you want to come by my office, I'll show you the codes, but literally it's 9 volumes, that's a whole bookshelf wide, and we have to enforce all of that. So people say, well, why are you taking so long? Well, that's why we take so long. All right, last fiscal year, we did 214,000 inspections, we permitted 73,000 permits, and we reviewed over 150,000 plans, or we did over 150,000 plan reviews. This is not like, as Michelle said, it's the biggest county southeast of the Mississippi. So we are talking like a lot of permits, and there's also a lot of, how do I say this nicely, heavy hitters spending a lot of money around here. So people are doing investment, it's going crazy. So $2.4 billion in improvements were permitted. Theoretically, those went on the tax roll, and that added about, I think, $9 million in additional property taxes. We are not funded through ad valorem. I'm going to go on record. We're funded through permit fees. So we don't cost you a cent on your taxes doing our job in the building division. We also spill over a little bit. We spend money. When Michelle's team and Rick's team are helping us with unlicensed activity, we fund that. So it gives you a benefit. It brings leverage. Always check to see a building permit before letting your contractor in the door. Like I said, ask to see a permit. And if they tell you, well, no, I talked to this guy, he said no permits required. Get that in writing. You send me an email, and my email will be up here. You send me an email, I got business cards up here. I will give it to you in writing. I don't ever give anything verbal. State law is very clear on my actions. They got to be governed specifically. I give answers in writing. If I reject a plan, I give it to them in writing. If I fail an inspection, I give it to them in writing. I put a code section on it. If I don't do that, I have to give them money back. Permits are required for a lot of projects: electrical, mechanical, structural, and plumbing work. Follow-up inspections are required. Some of the things we've seen in Century Village right here would curl your hair, literally. We've had cases with shower to tub retrofits, and I didn't bring a picture. I mentioned that. We'll bring one next time we come, where they cut holes in the floor slab, and you see the steel going across. And I don't know if anybody here, Don's still here, anybody would remember that. It's like a horror show. And the one with the pole shorts, same kind of thing. We end up condemning the unit above and the unit below because of unsafe conditions, because somebody brought in an unlicensed contractor and basically didn't pull a permit. Okay. So again, common things we permit: tub to shower conversion, AC water heater, those kind of things. Get a permit. If you make them to show you a permit, we're going to make sure that it's installed correctly. Now, I can't guarantee 100% anything's not going to leak. That's one of the common themes I tell my boss. Maybe we should issue insurance policies with our permits, sort of like when you go to Home Depot, you want the extended warranty. We can't do that because we're not doing the work. But the problem is, if you make them get a permit, you got a better chance. We got a licensed contractor with insurance that you can rely on that. And the insurance on a general contractor is like $300,000. That'll go pretty far. On a plumber, it's like $100,000. And theoretically, it's the value of the work. So impact windows is another thing. A lot of people are retrofitting with impacts. Not sure that's so common in Century Village per se, but theoretically, if somebody wants to do that, go to your POA and get them to approve it. You have a lot of POAs here in Century Village, and that's kind of one of my angst issues. You have too many. I like dealing with UCO because it's one source I can go to. I have to live with what I have, so it is what it is. Make sure that your POA approves the work you're doing. If it's anything on the exterior or anything involves common elements. Now, what's a common element? Floor ceiling assembly, that's a common element. Load-bearing wall, that's a common element. Electrical service, that's a common element. I'm sorry, say that again? Doors and windows, common element. Maybe, maybe not. I don't know. Not everybody agrees on that one. But But check with your POA. The point is check with the POA. Every permit the building division issues has language required by state law on it. And it says very clearly, issuance of this permit does not grant you rights you don't have, and also that you need to check with your POA, your Property Owners Association or your Homeowners Association. And we actually revised that language. It's on every permit. And, you know, ask to see the permit. You'll see it's on there. What else? So, as you know, this is all rehashing what Rick already said. Non-compliant work in one unit can detrimentally impact people. You know, we had a couple really nice folks we were working with over the last couple years where they were kicked out of their units. And I couldn't get them back in. Yeah, for years. Literally, they were out of the unit for years. I don't want to ever see that happen. But I don't want to see Surfside happen, something collapse on one of you nice people. You know, that's not my job. Okay, so, and as he said, owner's going to be liable. Okay, so fixture changeouts. Here's exemptions, common exemptions that we will allow. You're replacing toilets. Is that me? I'm sorry. I got to turn that off. That's my office phone ringing. We do answer the phone. You can change water closets without a permit. I don't need to inspect a water closet replacement. But if you hire somebody to do a water closet replacement, they're supposed to be licensed. So if they're contracting to do plumbing work, that requires a license. You can also do a vanity, like a sink, a basin. You know, replace a basin in a bathroom, that's fine. You know, you can replace the shower head, things like that. You start going tub to shower conversion or vice versa, that's a horror show. Because again, I had somebody cut out a floor and had a hole in the concrete slab with the steel sticking through it. Bad stuff, bad news. You don't want to get involved in that. So if you hire somebody to do any of those things, they need to be licensed. You can change light bulbs all day long, you know. But if you're hiring somebody to do light bulbs, make sure they're insured too, because, you know, they fall off a ladder. You're going to end up paying. Like I said, always check with your condo association. I can't stress that enough. And you have a lot of associations here, and we have a lot of people that apparently don't want to check with their associations or don't work with their associations, and we end up in a world of hurt. And then Rick and I are like working against the contractor who's unlicensed. If you guys report them, we'll come out every time. We will investigate. We'll take pictures. You know, it might not be exactly what you want. We can't make anybody do anything, but we can hold them accountable for what they do. So we have a lot of things online. What I was going to say, when Rick was talking about the portal, when you look up, you can look up a contractor. You can also see all the permits that contractor did. See their history. I mean, it's public information, so we put it on the portal. So you want to see a lot of inactive permits out there, that might be a dead giveaway. This person's going to take your money and run off. You can see the inspections that are scheduled. We're very proud of the work we've done on the portal. We actually have an Uber-type app where you can see where your inspector is. I was very frustrated with customers waiting home for us to show up to look at a piece of AC equipment. You get a new air handler or something like that, and basically you're waiting at home, and then the minute you go out to basically run an errand, the inspector shows up and fails you. That ever happened to you? Okay. You don't have to go through that anymore. Okay. You have an app that shows where the inspector is and where you are in the itinerary during normal business hours. We also have a video inspection program where your contractor, a licensed contractor, can hit a button on their iPhone and get an inspection instantaneously. Now, I say instantaneously. That's not exactly true. They got to wait up to 10 minutes. But they don't have to schedule it 24 hours in advance. They don't have to wait for us to have an inspector available to get there. So, I mean, we're doing that. You can do all this stuff online. We do renewals. We got expired permits. I mean, I can't tell you how many renewals we're doing on people trying to close on their houses, right? You're trying to facilitate a closing, and there's open permits going back, 40 years. And that, to me, is a problem. But we are working on automating that process, hopefully in the next 6 months, where we're automatically going to send letters to the contractors where they're going to disciplinary hearings for not getting finals. Another reason to use licensed contractors. So that's our email address, or that's our website. We're doing milestone inspections now, too. Now, anybody here in a 3-story building? Okay, so you know what I'm talking about. Milestones are the new things since the Surfside collapse that we're basically verifying things are certified. Right now, out of like 600 that were identified, I think there's some of the numbers in here in the county. I think there's a number. Did we put the number in here? It's not in this PowerPoint. Oh, she's gone. It's in here. But basically, here it is. 53 condos are still not in compliance. And 28 buildings haven't responded to a Phase 2. Phase 2 is the second one where the first one identifies there are structural deficiencies and they got to go a little farther. And then we have, so I mean, you're talking about, these are serious issues. And we're going to be figuring out the next move is we're going to start going after folks with code enforcement. Do I want to go after people with code enforcement? No. I want you to fix your building, get it certified. I would rather you spend the money that's going to end up in fines. And I think the commission has got the same view. I'm not speaking out of turn. I think Commissioner Weiss can answer that. But the point is, they don't want to fine you. They want you to be safe. That's what this law is intended for. So it's a big deal for us. And there's a lot of work going on there. So we've done extensive outreach on that. That is what I'm doing right now. We're talking about condo compliance. So if anybody here is in a 3-story and they haven't heard the word, they can reach out to us. We've got information. We're working on a website where you can actually look on the map and see who's there. I'm going to say, without shaming anyone, there's one building that is 3 stories in Century Village, in this subdivision, that has not complied. We've never heard from them. And if you want to know who that is, ask me later. So, I mean, this is the whole regulation without going too crazy. The time limits are not me. This is state law. This is not Doug in the county picking on you. This is the state law saying what we're supposed to do. Came right out of the Florida Building Commission. And I understand it's about, financial thing. There's other parts, right? Everybody knows what a SIRS is, Structural Integrity Reserve Study. The 3-story building's got to do that. Yeah. SIRS. So, that's another part of it. If you're in a 3-story, you got to do that. Do you guys got to do that in the regular buildings? I don't know. Yeah. And they're working on some of this stuff that, how's it going? They're still making sausage in Tallahassee right now as we speak. So we don't know how it's all going to shake out, but this is what's on the books right now. So this is our contact info. Building. We have a good website. We try real hard to work on it. A couple things I want to point out. There's a sign-in sheet up here. There also is, I think, a sign-in sheet in the back. Please sign in. By signing in, you help me to keep your insurance rates low. Because I get audited by the Insurance Services Office. And one of their branches is called VeriRisk, and they're verifying what the risk is in this community. So by signing in, I can prove that I'm not just making this story up that I came here and spoke to a bunch of nice people. They got signatures. Yes, ma'am. Well, are we ready for questions? That's all I have. So you want to, yeah, go ahead.
Now, I have a concern about expansion. Where's the microphone?
Here you go. I'll hobble over this.
Okay, thank you. I have a concern about the expansion beams. It has been made aware to me that there are several places here in Century Village that have expansion beam problems, my association included. I called the inspectors out, they came. My personal opinion, they put a Band-Aid on it.
Who's the...
Now, we're wanting to put a washer and dryer on that second floor where the expansion beam, I could stand upstairs on the second floor, drop money down into the laundry room downstairs.
Okay.
And all they did was put
I think you're talking about an expansion joint is what I would call it, a control joint, and those are installed in the building, part of the original design, to prevent the catastrophic failure when the concrete expands and contracts. I'm not familiar with your specific case, but if somebody if you complained about it, somebody came out there, typically we would ask to get an engineer opinion. We're not engineers. There is a code that talks about expansion joints and where they're required, and we try to make sure they're there. So did you get an engineer? They took it.
We did not get an engineer. He did not, the inspector came out. He did not specify we get an engineer, that we get it repaired. Your contract, your people came out, looked at the inspection, looked at the work that was done, and passed it. But, and as a layperson, it was a Band-Aid put on a problem.
Licensed contractor?
Yes,
With a permit?
yes.
If you want to send it to me in an email, and my business card's here, I'll give you one.
Okay, the gentleman that you said comes to Century Village, because he and I spoke extensively, because it still concerns me that that expansion is still opening.
Yeah, I can't speak to the specifics of it, but if we issued a permit and we did an inspection,
We can speak one-on-one
okay, and we
to
can
help
answer.
facilitate it.
Yeah, we can answer. Send me an email, we'll look it up.
Yeah, I've got a question. You mentioned just once that if you run into a non-compliant owner, do you, as a department, have some sway over how we handle that situation? We have a standoff rebel in our building who has managed to keep us at bay for any inspection of work that was required by the court. And the work was done allegedly, but she would not allow us in to check it.
Okay, I'm gonna go for answer from my division. We can't enforce court orders or civil issues, but if the work requires a permit and you reported it to code enforcement, then code enforcement can fine. If they can validate what the claim that you're making. And again, everything's an allegation until it's seen. People want to tell me, hey, I saw this, I saw that. We don't get to enforce that. I had to tell one of the drainage districts the other day, or FPL wanted me to basically turn in a licensing complaint on one of the contractors. I said, you guys got to testify. I can't do that. So that's part of the problem. Does that answer your question?
I have a question. A person who comes in over here from another state, they're qualified professionals. Are they allowed to do certain type of work over here by themselves? I know certain stuff has to be with a permit, but if you can do it yourself and you qualify it from a different state, I know you don't recognize this from personal experience, but can you do this? Replacing a water heater, toilets I know.
So typically, it has to be a time of crisis, like if we have a hurricane roll through, the governor will allow out-of-state contractors. There's a process for that. But for typical work like water heaters and all that, they need to register with us. You know, we need to get their credentials. They can't pull a permit unless they go through our system.
Okay, and there's a caveat on that. Our regulations are very clear. I mean, if it's an emergency repair, the work can be started by a licensed contractor. So if you let them into your property to basically do an emergency repair, now you're responsible for making sure their insurance is good. But the other side of that is, if you insist to see a permit within so many days, we'll issue a permit. And let me tell you, a water heater replacement permit is a self-issued permit. There's no turnaround time on that. You apply for that permit, you get it instantly if you got a license and you got insurance. And there's a number of permits we do like that. AC is another one. Your AC, exact replacement of an AC unit, is a self-issued permit. So if you have a licensed contractor, they can hit a button, fill out some fields, they'll get the permit while they wait, sitting at home.
Next.
I had a question, but I think you might have answered it. I was in water damage for years, first responder. What is the rule for the insurance companies to send out an accomplished insurance company water damage restoration person? Because I ran into about 2 of them here in West Palm Beach, where the insurance companies just sent out a fly-by-night person.
Well, I would need more detail, but DBPR registers or regulates mold mediation companies, so that might fall under their purview. We personally don't require a license to that, but DBPR does, at least a registration, some sort of registration for them. So check with DBPR on that company. Yeah.
Question over here.
Hi, Judy from Chatham M Condo Association. I have a big question, I believe it's for Michelle and then John as well, the code inspectors specifically for Century Village. When we did our remodel, we tried to do the steps that we've been instructed, just so when other units in our building want to do something, this is good, but you need to follow these steps, A, B, C, D, E. A was, we've been told, we should have a letter from our condo board, our condo association board, our COA board, with the name, 2 signatures, and a seal. And along with that, they want to see, the board wants to see what you're going to do. This remodel, you're going to take out this part of this kitchen, you want to take down this wall. Did you talk with a structural engineer? Is it a weight-bearing wall? That, all that kind of stuff, so it would be just a sketch out. This is what we really want to do. If the board said, yes, go ahead, go with the people that you want. My biggest question is, who sees this? I know UCO has a very good intention of keeping all this up and up. Get the board signatures and the seal permit. But who under it sees it? And personally, I think on your presentation up on the wall, one of the first things that you need to see is one of your slides saying, if you live in Century Village, you cannot be owner, you as an owner can't come in and get a permit. You need to go through your board, you need to go through licensed people. So if you have that up on there, maybe we would have more compliance with people going to their board first, with showing their information and get it properly signed, sealed. Who sees that?
That request would come from the building division because we talked a little bit about common elements. So if it's common elements, so please understand, I enforce state law. I'm responsible, the building division is responsible for the enforcement of state law. And in tandem, contractors regulation enforces state laws on licensing too, and county regulations. But the point is, we can't basically let somebody improve something they don't have the right to improve. And our permit is very clear about that. The language is on that. So if we ask for that, I don't think it has to be a sealed document from the POA, let me be clear, but we don't, you know, we cannot require POA approval for interior work unless it's common elements, and that's the trigger. And we talked about it a little bit earlier. What was common elements? Is it windows? Is it not? You get into some of these things where it depends on the POA, and because there are so many variances, so many different variations on POA regulations, what they'll allow owners to do, what they won't allow. And when I say owners, owners with a contractor to do, because the state law is very consistent. Owner-builder stuff can only be on non-multifamily. You guys live in multifamily. And there's an exception. And I'm going to tell you what the exception is. If you get abandoned by a licensed contractor and you can demonstrate that, we can help you to complete that permit as an owner-builder. That is the only carve-out in state law that allows us to issue a permit to an owner in a condominium.
Okay. Excuse me, that doesn't answer my question. My question is, if you were suggested to go to our board, please go to your board first, get the approval from your board. I need to know if people come to me and all of a sudden these licensed contractors are showing up. It's like, well, what are you doing? Oh, we're working up on the second floor with blah, blah, blah. I go, did you see the approval from the board? The letter from the board that this is okay, they got the approval? No, we didn't see that. That's the letter
Can
that
I-
I'm talking about.
can
That
I-
They insist that we should do.
Can I interject on
Well,
this?
I think the answer to that question is they should have a permit. If they have a permit, then what they're trying to do is most likely been approved.
No.
That should be the first question and answer.
Can I just interject? I know what you're talking about. I'm Fausto Fabro, I'm president of UCO. We go through this all the time. You know that Donald and I came to your office, and this is where we asked, the question that Judy's asking, there should be no building permit issued from your department unless approval from the board.
We can't legally do that.
I understand
The
that.
attorneys have reviewed that extensively, but I would ask to see the permit. If you give us a letter and whatever your requirements are there, it should be part of the permit file. And the contractor should produce it. Are they going to share it with the workers in the field? That's a different issue. But I cannot lawfully, it's very clear what I do and what the county does is based on Florida statute 553. That would be what's called ultra vires. We're not authorized to do that.
Okay.
We cannot enforce deed restrictions.
And I understand what you're saying, but again, someone has to look at the law, because we had an instance where a specific person came, got a building permit to do some renovation in the kitchen sink. Went to the president of the building and said, I got the go-ahead to do this. She said, okay, fine. 3 days later, she came back and the entire apartment was gutted. And when she approached the individual, he said, well, I got a permit. The permit didn't specifically state, okay, and I know that, I think, John, you remember that, right? Great Greenbrier B. There was, I have a permit, and I understand, but I guess the law needs to be changed a little bit.
You got to go to the state legislature,
I know
and
that.
trust me, they're going to take us out of the mix right now. There's a bill in Tallahassee that's
Right.
going through the process to basically eliminate the building department.
Okay, well,
And then it's all going to be private people working for the contractor. Is that a good idea?
no, absolutely not.
I'm on your side. I mean,
Okay,
wanna-
I know that, and again, I wish that if you can direct us in the right direction, who we should be talking to, so we can go ahead and try to push this.
Yeah, talk to your local representative or your local senator and basically tell them
Okay.
you'd like to see this in the law.
Okay.
And I don't think anybody in my profession would oppose that.
I know that.
But the point is, we just need to get approval from you guys to
Right.
issue it, so that's easy enough to prove. We've had cases where I think, I'm trying to see where she is, but basically where there was a little bit misrepresentation, where somebody claimed to be the president and wasn't the president. You know what I'm
Right.
talking about?
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, there can be those outliers. We're doing the best we can with the legal authority we have.
Right, I know, that needs to be changed, but the first gentleman that spoke said that we should have a way of keeping unlicensed people out of Century Village. We can't check licenses, but once a complaint has been made that an unlicensed contractor is doing work, we do put a block to prevent that person from coming in and doing work inside Century Village. But I can't screen every single contractor that comes through, to let them know. But once they make a boo-boo, we definitely keep them out.
Something that we can suggest to you is that you can control who comes in and out of Century Village. Site security at the points of entry can be monitored, and we recommend that.
We do that.
And something that you can do is as simple as that, and do a good job at it.
But we do.
And that's the best way you can prevent the bad players that do come into Century Village and take advantage of the residents. Something that we say all the time is, what is the best form of advertisement? Word of mouth, right?
Right.
So what we do suggest is that when you do see work being done and you're inquiring about it, is now we've empowered you and given you the education about it, what to ask for, what are the red flags and everything like that. Communicate that with the management. UCO. Let them know, hey, listen, I don't know what's going on, but do you know about these people? And then you can report them to us as well.
And we do.
But-
And Donald spends a lot of time sending emails and notifying you, getting a hold of John, bringing him in when we're notified of these specific individuals. But
Right.
maybe something that we should be looking into, and I'm sure that it's going to be, a lot of people are going to be upset with this. But if you have an unlicensed contractor that's going to be doing work inside Century Village, and you're notified of that, maybe that would be stopped if you arrested the unlicensed contract and the owner for doing unlicensed work. You do that once or twice, and I think that would stop.
Well, it's.
You know what I'm talking
Yeah,
about.
it's a civil infraction.
I
We-
understand
We can't
that.
arrest someone for that. We have a process that we need to follow by state statute, but
But
it's.
maybe something
Anybody
can be
have
put in state statute,
Thank you.
because if there's no repercussions, and this is what happens, people do the work and they say, okay, now it's done. So like we're victims of the victim, okay?
But we need to take personal responsibility. And
I agree.
As property owners and residents in this community, I want to live here. I know Sandy Levine for a very long time here. I want to live here and I want to buy a unit here, but I want to also know that you personally, as property owners, took ownership and made sure that you vetted your contractors and the work was legitimate and it was inspected and everything was appropriate. I want you to be safe and I want to be safe when I purchase my property and live in Century Village. And so that's personal ownership, and that's what we do. Oh, there you go. I was working my way.
Hi, I got a two-part question. Number one, what you were discussing, I've been a contractor all my life, and I found that most companies, what they do is, if you need work done, okay, you're gonna have to call UCO and tell your contractor they gotta fax over their insurance to UCO. UCO installs it in a database, and that's it, it's taken care of. You got a copy of the permit. Well, you can do that, that's what I'm saying. Well, if could or would, is something that should happen, okay? It's saying no without discussing it or saying.
Let me explain to you. You have 309 associates, we're not an HOA, we're a COA.
Right.
So each association, 309 of them, which these people have
Well,
to put up with,
we-
are
we-
responsible for their own buildings.
Security, we pay for security. They should be part of security.
How does security have anything to do with license or insurance?
Because they prevent them from coming in here. I mean, it's a simple fix, okay?
That's not within our realm of being able to do that.
Well, who's in charge of security?
We're in charge of security, but that's not their job, they have access. Let them keep looking at it.
Yeah.
Have to check license.
Well,
There's been some confusion about kitchen replacement of cabinets. In your previous pamphlets, it said if you're doing like with like, you don't need a permit. But then in parentheses, it said that applies to private homes. In multi-dwellings, if you're doing like with like, you need a permit. Now, on your presentation, I got the impression that if you're doing a kitchen with like, you don't need a permit. Can you clarify that?
Yeah, I don't think that was the intent of the presentation. Maybe it was misrepresented. If you do like for like a basin, a sink replacement, something like that, a dishwasher in the same
Cabinets.
place. Cabinets are a problem in multifamily because a lot of times the kitchen's abut a fire-rated wall. When you take those cabinets down, there's holes in the drywall. Things as simple as the spacing of the receptacles on one side of the wall as opposed to the opposite side of the wall are intended, they're regulated so we make sure that there's no fire penetrations. In a fire, we've had fires in Century Village and other places where it burned through the wall, and rebuilding the stuff is a problem too. So we do require a permit for that,
It
for
has
the
to be
protection.
clarified, because when I go into apartments and they say to me, well, look, it's like with like, that's okay. It says it in the books. It must be clarified. Because that's a problem.
Yeah,
that I
we
run
have a
into
form
all the
here
time.
that basically is very clear, like for like, single-family dwellings. Because, and here's the difference.
But
On
in
a
the
single
pamphlet, no, it wasn't
So
clear.
that's not the brochure that's here today. That was an older brochure from years ago that may still have, that got left over. We have a new brochure that pertains just to condominiums, and that's available here to you today. If I can.
So, if I may clarify, if you replace cabinets, it must, I have it.
Okay.
It must be permitted.
Kitchen cabinets in a condominium, yes.
The
A
same with the
vanity,
bathroom
a vanity in a bathroom, perhaps not. But here's the problem.
is the problem.
Well, the problem is, the electric code is a whole nother piece. Are you doing like for like, or are you changing it? As soon as we say like for like, no permit, that opens the door, then you don't get a licensed contractor, and they're going and expanding it. What happens to the receptacle spacing when you extend the cabinets? I'm talking to the contractor. You need another receptacle. You gotta move them, you gotta add them, there's a whole mess. Yeah, you're talking about adding wiring, and trust me, we see it all the time. I had a case not very far from here where we came out and it was basically a screen enclosure that they were enclosing. We went in, they rearranged the whole kitchen. They had to rewire the whole thing, and it was all illegal.
So to clarify, like with like, still, if they tell me.
Not in a condo, because I can't trust that will be compliant.
Right, so if they tell me, well, we're doing like with like, I have to say, I need a permit.
Show me a permit or show me something in writing from the building division.
Okay.
I will give anybody that asks a question in writing, I'll give them a response in writing. It's like a get out of jail free card. I do that all the time.
Kitchen cabinet replacement require a licensed contractor?
Kitchen cabinet replacement requires a licensed contractor in a condominium.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Thank you.
Don't shoot the messenger.
So you got one more question?
Yes, ma'am. Here you go.
In the bathroom, you have a sink and then a cabinet underneath. And if the wall that was behind it was damaged, what needs to be replaced? The whole cabinet?
How was it damaged?
That water came from up.
So that would be water damage repair. Typically, you'd need a permit for that. A contractor would know what to do.
Oh, okay. Thank
Does that make sense? If you're damaged by water damage and somebody comes in, like, you're bringing in somebody to do that, make them get a permit. Ask to see a permit, or ask them to see something in writing saying a permit's not required. And it'll be very specific what we say a permit's not required for. We put it in writing, so it's clear. Because what happens is it mission creep. As soon as I tell you verbally you don't need a
Who
permit
owns the
for
pl- owns the
something,
place
then
upstairs?
people go and expand that. It becomes a different scope. Okay. They had to go in the wall, they had to replace it, yeah, I mean, I don't know. Was there electric in the wall? Do you know? Yeah. Yeah, take a business card and send it to me, and I'll respond in writing.
Well, we thank.
Before you take us, one question.
Yes, ma'am.
What are the repercussions of fines that
Daisy.
unlicensed contractors?
Where's the number? Is there something up here with code enforcement, code compliance number on it?
I'm having something made, and it's not ready yet.
The question is, what are the repercussions, the fines or actions that are going to be taken once it's discovered that there's been a unit, that an unlicensed contractor has come in, done the work, finished the work? What happens?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's an ugly question, and the reality is, that's why I'm telling you, ask to see a permit.
They say up front, this work does not need to be licensed.
Show me that in writing from the building department. I'm telling you they need to be licensed. I'm telling you it needs a permit. And it's my job with per the state of Florida to make sure that they get a permit.
And that's why we say, you know, we're providing you this education, an educated consumer. You know what's required. There's people out there that are going to do unpermitted work, looks good, and 6 months later, you have damage to your wall because all the things that are behind the wall that they did are leaking. Using inferior products, didn't do it correctly, and it was never inspected. Guess who lays the responsibility? You. You now have to get somebody else. So that work that you should have had inspected, it may have cost a little bit more up front where you thought, well, now at the back end, you're going to be paying a lot more. Thank you very much. We have our business cards up here. Please don't forget to sign in, as Doug said. And we thank you for this opportunity, and have a great week and even better weekend.